Okay, the microphone's on. Okay, thank you for having me, Yasmin. As you can read in my title, I will be talking about four things: about forging, the future, the Ruhrpott, and startup, but not in this order. I will start to get in the mood to talk about the Ruhrpott, or the Ruhrgebiet, or Ruhr area as it's officially called. It's this region here in the west of Germany, and it's a lot of cities that are combined and that they are called the Metropole Ruhr. The name comes from the river Ruhr, which runs through some of these cities, but the most important connection of the cities today is the highway A40, which goes through these cities and which moves the people around. Now, let's see if we are called this cultural region, Ruhrgebiet, to see if we are not only connected, but if we are united. Let's take a look at the A40 and at some cities around the A40. First of all, you can go to study here. Some of you will be students or have been students along the way, and we have formed the University Alliance. So I would say in the science sector, yes, we are united, not only connected. Then we have places like this one. Every city has its piece of industrial heritage, and every year in the Extraschicht we have a large party where we illuminate these things and color. And there you could also say in this part we are a united region. But is this all? No, it isn't. This is where the unification stops. The affiliation to your soccer club can rip families apart. You can be born into a family of Schalke fans, and at the day of your birth, you will be assigned to be, for your lifetime, part of that club. So this is a very difficult thing, and the affiliation to your soccer club might as well be more important than what God you believe in. So are we united? I don't know. For parts, yes. For parts, no. But one thing that we share here, that we all have in common, is that it will be very, very common for you to have a migration background or to know someone with a migration background. We have significantly more immigrants here than in the rest of Germany, or let's say in the Free State of Saxony, which has less inhabitants than the Ruhrgebiet and much, much less immigrants. So for us, this is normal. This is just nothing to be afraid of. It's everything. We have here people from many, many different regions. Where do they come from, and why is it so unevenly distributed over Germany? Let's take a look of the history of the population of our region. At 1850, there were only 400,000 people living here in the whole region. That is less people than live in the city of Essen today. And then something happened. And I didn't do the math, but I think it would have been difficult to do this by natural means. So something happened. Somehow the people had to get here. And I did a little research, and it turns out that these places we call industrial heritage today were not meant to be convention centers or conference centers or clubs. They were actually places to work, because there was a lot of work to be done here. We have a strong history of carbon industry, of coal mining, and of the steel industry. And something that is surprising and unthinkable in the year 2018, where every country tries to close its border and to be afraid of immigrants and don't come here. At this time, people actually went from Germany to places like Turkey, to Italy, to Poland, and asked people to come here. Can you please come here and work in Germany? And I can tell you they did not come because of the beautiful weather. They did not come because of our mountains or our beaches or our palm trees. They also did not come because they wanted to take advantage of our social system. They wanted to work. They came to work, and they brought their families along. And this is something that up to today defines the mentality of our region. For us, it's normal to have neighbors from all over the world. And also this mentality of working really hard. This is just something that's normal here. Now, as we are sitting here today, we know that something has changed, and it is very easy to find bad news about our region on the internet. It is cool to have places like this, the industrial heritage, to have conventions, and you come here and it's amazing. And now we are, like 300, 400 people sitting here, but thousands used to work here. And of course, if whole industries go down, that's a blow for the region. And what happens is, well, you find easily articles like this from the Süddeutsche Zeitung, which calls our region a case for the social welfare. So now you can also find good news about it. Funny, in the same magazine, I found an article which was written about our startup company a few months ago. And now I come to the startup part of the talk. First, since we are a digital, it's a digital event today, and we are a hardware startup. Let's first see how we can distinguish this. A digital startup with a B2C approach, I say it's very easy. You need to get some IT, then you do some code, and then basically the whole world can be your customer. You can start selling over the internet, and actually it doesn't really matter where you are. You can live anywhere on the world and sell anywhere on the world. You can reach lots of people. And if you want to multiply your product, they can just download it. You don't need more machines, you don't need more infrastructure, you need a little bit more server capacity, and you need a little bit more bandwidth. I don't mean this in a condescending way. I know that it's a really hard work to create a digital product. But in a hardware startup, in a hardware company, it's different. You need a factory, you need raw materials to go into your factory, and in the factory they are converted to your products. And you need logistics. You need to move those raw materials to your factory, and you have to move your products to your customers. So it's really important to where you put your factory. You also need people who work in your factory. And so you cannot easily multiply your output. If you want to produce more, you need perhaps another factory, and you need to see if there's space to build another one. So this is like a difference between the digital startup or the digital company and the hardware approach that we follow. Now I want to take a little test as Claire did. How many of you own a smartphone? Please raise your hand. I would say that's a solid 100%. And now, next question might seem funny. How many of you are wearing clothes today? Don't laugh, because the camera is pointing at me and not at you, so we have no naked in the crowd. Why did I pick these two products? Now comes the next question. How many of you own a smartphone that was produced in the Ruhrgebiet or in Germany? And that's a solid 0. And how many of you are wearing clothes that have been produced in the Ruhrgebiet or, let's say, in Germany? Well, maybe a few. Why am I asking these two products? Why am I picking these two products? Because both of these products were produced in Bochum, actually, in my hometown. And the factories were closed because it was cheaper to do it somewhere else. Now, when we wanted to create our production line, when we wanted to build our factory, we said, we want to do it here in the Ruhrgebiet. And everybody was like, oh, you're crazy. You cannot do this. You cannot do it. You have to go to Eastern Europe. You have to go to China. It's cheaper there. And it's not possible to build a factory in Germany if you haven't been there for hundreds of years. And many, many companies did this. They closed their factories here and they put another one up in China, let's say, or in Eastern Europe. Turns out that we were not so wrong. And I didn't see your talk before, but we wanted to be bold. We wanted to believe in our idea, and we did it. I didn't get the third one, but something like this. So we decided to build a factory here a few years ago. And if you follow the news, then you see every day, you see news like this. It was a mistake to go to China. It was a mistake. And companies are coming back. So we are really happy that we did it here in the first place. Now, I'll talk you a bit about my company. We call ourselves a Ruhrpott kind of startup. Let's see if we qualify. Geographically, we should be here in the region, and we are. We are in Bochum. We are a spin-off of the Ruhr University Bochum. We are just a clear derivative of the science there. To see, do we have a migration background? Yes, we do. 3 of our 3 founders have a migration background, and more than half of our employees do. And that's nothing that we were looking for to win an award or something. That's just something that's normal here in the region. And you see in the map, you see the blue countries are those where people come from who work at our company. And luckily, we have one Russian guy who puts all the blue in the map. Now, do we have industrial heritage? Yes, we do. Our factory and our office is situated at an old mining site, which is easy to do because they are everywhere around here. And now, what is it? What we do? Do we do heavy industry? We are the only producer of shape memory alloys in Germany, and so we have machines, we have a factory. Of course, what we do is dwarfed by the machines that you can see down here. So I would call it we have light heavy industry. Now, what do? We do things like this. We do casting, we melt metals, and then we cast them. This is something that really, I wanted to see this on the big screen, it looks cool. Now the next one might get loud, and now we come to the forging part. We do actually forging. I can tell you that this with the speakers is not as impressive as it is real. When you have this machine on and you're standing a few hundred meters across, then it sounds like a chopper taking off, and we are really proud of that. So I think we might just be the loudest startup in the region, maybe even in Germany. Okay, this was the forging part, and what else comes next? We do metal forming, we do heat treatment, we do thermomechanical processing, and these are things that you wouldn't usually associate with the term startup. You would think of an office, you would think of a computer, you would think more digital. It's just natural when we think of startups. But we actually built a factory to create these things here in Germany, in Bochum. These little things that comes out, they look like metal springs, and in their shape they are, but actually they are actuators. What is an actuator? An actuator is something, here in our case, made of a functional material. We can teach this material a certain shape, and then we deform it, and then we put it into hot water or heat it up by any other means. It will remember its shape. Now, what's really loud in the production is noiseless by activation. And not only does it look cool, but it also has a really, really good application possibility. Where do you need actuators? Everywhere. Let's take an example. A car from the 50s will have approximately 0 actuators. A car from today will have more than 100 actuators. And this is true for every product where we want to put functions in. Actuators are typically things that we use, but we don't see. We might hear them, though. And they are not all made of functional materials or smart materials, but they are conventional actuator systems. You have solenoid magnet servo motors and so on, and they are just made by dumb materials. We use smart materials, they are made of dumb materials, and but they work, and everybody of you will use them, will have used them today. They are in our cell phones, they are in our dishwasher, they are in our cars. Everywhere where you want to put a function in, where you want to automate something, you need an actuator. And this is happening all over the place. Every product gets more and more functions with each series. So why use smart materials? Because we want to have more and more functions, we need more actuators. And the standard actuators, they are heavy, they are loud, they are complex systems, they are assemblies. And now we can go along and just put these simple smart materials in. So they are lighter, they cost less, they are noiseless, they have lots of advantages. You cannot do it in every application, but in many you can. And so there are billions of actuators that we can replace by shape memory alloys. Where can you do it? Basically, you can do it everywhere you have a function. You can do it in automotive, you can do it in aerospace. I will not read all of the things. One important thing is your appliances, your consumer electronics. If you think of a smart home, you want to open your blinds from your app, you need an actuator. You want your dishwasher to turn on automatically, you need an actuator, and so on and so on. We started a few years ago with our first production line for the automotive industry, and this industry really opens up for the new technology. We have today already more than 10 years in advance with book business. We have more than 10 million parts that we will produce in the next years. And this is something very impressive, because a few years ago we were just some people in an office and creating and developing. Now, this was our first customer, and we are allowed to say it now. In 2016, there were no parts of us inside, and in 2017, every motor of a Mercedes-Benz car has one part of these little springs inside for the gasoline motors. 100% of the gasoline motors, not the diesel motors. So that was really a rocket launch for us, because we came from nothing, from an office to an industrial scale mass production. And that were really some hard years, but we did it. And until today, we have produced more than 2 million shape memory actuators. And that's not downloads, that's actual products that need to be built. In the picture, you see approximately 1,000 cars. Imagine what 2 million would look like. And they are driving around in the whole world, and this is something that we think this is really impressive, because we didn't do it as a part of a big company. We did it as a startup. We just had an idea. We had some research that we did at the university, and this thing really got into the industry. And this is really cool. Now, as I said before, you cannot just take some bandwidth as some server capacity to create more. We are actually now planning our second factory, and we are looking for spaces, and it will again be in an old mining site, and we will build another factory, and then probably we will build another and another, because nowadays we live in a globalized world. Everybody wants functionality, and once the automotive industry gets something going, the others will do it as well. So I think we are looking to have a lot of work before us. Now, these are my colleagues and me. This is just the front page of our homepage. We are often asked what was our biggest achievement, and we think back and we say the last few years have gone by in a rush. It's, as I said, 2016, when the WestVisions started in October, we were taking the first machines and making them work, which was not easy, because some machines come late, some machines will not do what they're supposed to do, and you have a production line, and when it's the first line, you have every machine needs to work. So what was our biggest achievement so far? We go back to the A40 picture, and it said our biggest achievement was to overcome unbridgeable differences. And we said, if we can overcome these obstacles and make this company work, we can achieve anything. So yesterday, when I was driving to the speaker meeting where we get to know each other, I took a picture out of the car of the A40, with a beautiful sunset, and I was trying to think what will I tell you as a conclusion of this talk, but I will end with a personal note which has nothing to do with this picture. Exactly 11 years ago, I was going home and I met a girl, She's today my wife, the mother of my children, and sitting there in the crowd. It was October 10. It was October 10 of 2007, and this is so great about the Ruhrgebiet. She would not have been here had her parents not decided to come to work here from Turkey as immigrants. And now we're here, and now it would be perfect to tell you it had happened during a traffic jam on the A40, but that would have been a lie. We were students, we couldn't afford cars, it was in the subway going home. But take this beautiful sunset, and thank you very much.